Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our weekly news video. Hope you're all doing okay. Yesterday, a new video came out on the channel, top 10 title deciding Formula 1 races ahead of the Las Vegas Grand Prix, where the title could be decided this year. So make sure you check that one out before we go into this one. Also, tomorrow there's a bonus video coming out for you here, all about this book, Inside Mercedes F1. I have now read it, and I've done a review. I haven't edited it yet, but it will be out tomorrow. Enough of that, though. We're going to get into the news. Remember to like and subscribe. Huge shout-out to the members. Dakota, The Joyous James, Robin Myers, and Cinnamon Strudel. If you want to become a member, link in the description. For a week where we have no F1 racing, there is a hell of a lot of news to get through. So here's just a quick preview of what we got to come in this video. Of course, we're going to be talking about the F1 75-year car launch event, because my God, is that a massive mess. So I'm going to talk about all that in a little bit. Qatar possibly investing in Audi, Alpine and Mercedes, Dan Fallows leaving Aston Martin, Neil Vittich leaving the FIA, which seems very strange, some stuff about Monaco's new contract, Damon Hill leaving Sky, Carlos Sainz in the Williams. We've got loads to talk about, which is quite surprising, as I said, because there's been no racing this week. So, before we do get into that, though, I just need to also say, we're now on Blue Sky. I don't really know what Blue Sky is, but everyone was saying go to Blue Sky. So, Stop and Go F1 is on Blue Sky. If you're on Blue Sky, I'll try and remember to leave a link in the description to find us. If not, I think it's just Stop Go F1 if you want to search from there. At the minute, we're just posting the YouTube shorts on there. You can only post videos that are a minute long, so it doesn't leave me much. But, you know, we're posting on Blue Sky from here on out if you enjoy that kind of thing. Enough of that, though. Let's talk about some actual news, starting with this bloody F1 75-year anniversary launch thing. So, basically, all of this has happened in the last week. It's been announced that for this year, there'll be no individual car launches for the teams. All the car launches will take place in the same place at the same time at the O2 Arena on the 18th of February, I think it was. And that will be the launch of this season to celebrate 75 years of Formula 1, which is obviously a huge achievement, and they want to put on a big event for this. So the tickets went on sale to the public on Friday, so yesterday as of recording this. And oh dear, it has not gone well. So the tickets went on sale about 10 a.m. I didn't try and get tickets. I didn't queue up for reasons I will mention later on. Because there's more to this that I think is bad than what's happened with the tickets. But yeah, people queued up for hours and hours and hours just to get to the front of the queue and be told that they're now out of tickets, basically. And there's now a whole rumour going around that of like the 18,000 tickets that the O2 can hold, only about 200 or so were actually for fans. The rest were for influencers or sponsors from the teams. So there's this. I don't know if that is officially confirmed, but that is something I've seen being thrown around quite a bit. And honestly, going online yesterday, I don't think I actually saw anyone being like, yeah, I got a ticket. So, you know, normally with like anything else, you would see people, like when the Oasis tickets went on, which I think this whole thing is very, you can compare it very much to the Oasis situation, where those tickets went on sale and it wasn't handled incredibly well, and then there was the whole dynamic pricing incident. But when the Oasis tickets went on sale, I remember going online and I saw people like, oh yeah, I got tickets and I got tickets. This time round, of the 18,000 seats that the O2 holds, I haven't seen one tweet or post or anything from anyone saying, yeah, I got a ticket, which would back up the claim that only around about 200 were available, which, you know, is just screwing over the fans, and ultimately is also screwing over the event, because if you have 18,000 people in an arena and none of them care about what's going on, there's going to be no noise whatsoever. If you had 18,000 fans, then all of a sudden people are going to care about your event a bit more because the people will be making noise. So I think they've screwed themselves over here. Following on from this, though, the tickets were then on resale for ridiculous prices. So tickets that initially were about £100 were now on resale for like £1,000, £2,000. Then, later on in the day, F1 released a statement going, if you buy a ticket from resale, those tickets will be null and void. I don't know how they're going to know if it's resale, but, people have now spent so much money on these resale tickets, and now they're worth nothing. So, some fans have been screwed over multiple times trying to go to this event by getting tickets yesterday. It's just been a huge mess in terms of ticketing. Honestly, this seems to be a thing that kind of affects everywhere with tickets nowadays. If there's a popular event and you have to get your tickets through Ticketmaster or whatever it might be, there's always an issue because the site will go down or there will be dynamic pricing or whatever it might be. But I think F1 also screwed themselves over additionally here by not giving out enough tickets in the first place, which is just so ridiculous. Because it's just, if that place is going to be full of, sponsors who don't want to get involved and influencers who've never watched F1 in their life, the place is going to be dead. And then that just, adds on to the fact that I don't think this event is a good idea in the first place. Because anyone who has watched car launches knows they're not very good. I watch all of them. I make videos on them. I've watched every single one for the last few years. There has been one good one ever in the last few years, and it was the one when Ferrari did their shakedown immediately after showing off their car. That was the one good car launch in recent memory. All the rest are crap. And you're going to put on this huge event and bring all these people in to do 10 back-to-back car launches? And it's yeah, there are things that people will be interested in. This could be the first time we see Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari race suit with the Ferrari team. Obviously, a huge moment that people want to see. But to get to that moment, you're going to have to sit through a Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber launch. You have to sit through a Haas launch. You're going to have to sit through an Alpine launch. It's just they haven't thought this through. And yes, you might get those moments later on where you get the likes of your Lewis Hamiltons, your Max Verstappens, Lando Norris, the big teams. When they come out, people will be interested in. But it's you have to sit through so much to get there. And whenever we watch these car launches, if F1 actually listened to the fans on the whole car launch thing, every time there's a car launch, the only thing people want to see is the car. They're not interested in interviews with random people. They're not interested in musical guests. They're not interested in anything. Yeah, we'll hear from the drivers. We'll hear from the team principal. That's pretty interesting. Everything else, no one cares. And now there's all these rumours going around that, Madonna's going to be there. It's great. If you're a Madonna fan, that's wonderful. But I'm not tuning into an F1 car launch to see Madonna. What are you on about? They've learnt nothing, at all. And I saw people go, oh, Peter Kay's going to be there. It's great. I love Peter Kay. I'm going to see him in a few weeks. But when I tune into a car launch, I don't want to see someone going, garlic bread? Garlic? No, I want to see a car! It's utterly, utterly ridiculous. You just haven't listened to what the fans want at all, and just made this up, and then not invited the fans. I can't believe what's happening here. If you honestly wanted to have a huge launch event for the 75th year of Formula One, what you should have done is look at previous car launches and go, which ones went down well? Then they would see the one that did, the Ferrari launch event where they did the shakedown immediately after, and then hold it at Silverstone or something, and with the car launch you go, right, you're launching your car, and then every car's going to do a lap of the track. And then you have the added intrigue of, oh my god, what if the Alpine can't make it? We see the car, we see the drivers, we see the team principals, and then you immediately have to do a lap. That's far more interesting than what this is going to be, which I imagine, because by the way, it's being planned by the same people who planned the Las Vegas opening ceremony last year, if you remember that, which was an hour of Kylie Minogue concerts. followed by the drivers being slowly raised out of a box and then slowly falling back down before the camera cut away to them. So, their standards are incredibly high. But, that's what it's going to be. This year it's going to be in the O2. The car, I imagine, will raise up. And especially if the liveries all look the same from this year as they will to next year, which, Red Bull definitely will, because they always do. But, a lot of teams keep the same liveries for a long time. If this event in February is revealing 10 cars that are identical to the cars that we have already, with a Madonna concert, oh my god, full of 18,000 people who don't want to be there. It's the worst event ever to go on in history. I'm hoping I'm wrong, and in February I come back and go, wow, that was great. But right now, I'm not feeling it. Added to the point as well, I read through the statement that F1 put out about, what is this event going to be, and all this kind of stuff. And the cars are all going to be show cars. They've confirmed that already, because at the bottom of the thing they go, and you will see the real cars later on in the year. So we're going to see 10 show cars with liveries that might be the same as the ones that we already have. So, I can't... In a sick way, I'm looking forward to it, because I think it's going to be a huge mess. But it's an event that had the potential to be good, and I'm annoyed that it doesn't. And we're going to move on now, for the sake of my blood pressure. We're going to talk about Qatar. Oh, yay! So, reports suggest a Qatari investment fund may purchase a stake in Audi F1 teams before their 2026 debut. As Audi faces financial pressures, particularly offloading its F1 investments could fund crucial upgrades while retaining its engine program. A minority stake seems likely, with a potential announcement during the Qatar GP in 2 weeks' time. Honestly, with this, I'm not too fussed, to be fair. At this point, a country like Qatar has a stake in most major sports everywhere. The fact that there isn't a part... Well, I guess... Isn't McLaren a bit state-owned by Bahrain, I think, a little bit? But anyway, this happens. It's sport now. This is what happens. You can call it sports washing because that's probably what it is. But, who cares? I've got nothing to say on that, really. Let's move on, because it's now been officially announced that Alpine will be using Mercedes engines and gearboxes from 2026. Next year will be the final year for Renault as an engine supplier. I think they came in 1977. That's a date I've pulled off the top of my head. I think it's right, though. I'm going to double check. Renault, 1977 is correct. Yes, I know so much about Formula 1. So sad times for the Renault, and it's, the Renault staff seem to be quite upset about it as well. There was, all those protests over the Monza weekend, if you remember them. But yeah, it's their time to move on, I guess. Who knows? They could come back. I mean, when Renault briefly became Lotus, I think they used Mercedes engines, and then they came back again. So who knows? Renault could, of course, always make a return to Formula 1, but sad to see them go from there. There's also an additional rumour that Alpine will eventually sell to High-Tech. I have no idea how much backing that rumour officially has. I've seen it a few times, but... Oliver Oakes, who's now the Alpine manager, team principal, he was the team principal of High-Tech for Formula 2 and Formula 3, so maybe that lends a bit of reality to the rumour, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. I'm not fully jumping on board with that yet. What I am jumping on board with is something that's been confirmed. Dan Fallows will no longer be Aston Martin's technical director. However, he will stay with the group. Though, not shocking news, considering Adrian Newey will be joining the team officially at some point in the next season. I mean, he was always going to be the technical director. I feel a bit sorry for Dan Fallows, if I'm really honest with you, because he was the guy under Adrian Newey at Red Bull for all those years, kind of learning from Adrian Newey, then decided to make the leap, leave Red Bull, and lead a team himself, which is what he did with Aston. And now he's leading this team, and Adrian Newey's come along, and once again he's under Adrian Newey again. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was to leave Aston and go somewhere else. I think he's had a very interesting time at Aston. I mean, when he came in, he was the guy who led the charge on the 23 car, which was the one which got all those podiums at the early points of the season. But then from then, it's been very much downhill. So I wonder if he was to go to another team, what part of his Aston career would they look at? Would they look at, wow, look, he made that car that was really successful? Or would they look at, and then it all went downhill? So it's really quite interesting to see what happens to him next, because I imagine he won't want to be under Adrian Newey again, but we shall wait and see with that one. Who knows where that's going to go. But we do know where Neil Zittich is going. He's going home. He's left his position as race director with immediate effect. Ruiz Marquez, I think I'm pronouncing that wrong, is set to take over from the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Marquez has previously been the steward for both Formula 2 and Formula 3. Now, it was initially reported that he'd kind of stepped down, but then he made his own personal statement where he has said, I have not resigned. So he's been fired by the FIA at what is a very, very strange stage. With 3 races to go in this season, it's just like, now's the time to lose the race director. And personally, I don't really know what he's done wrong. I can't think, there's stewarding decisions that have been questionable this year. I'm sure everyone would agree with that. But from a race director point of view, the only thing that sticks out in my mind was, there was a bit of a delay on the virtual safety car call in Brazil, where, McLaren's had to swap positions and Hülkenberg was on the side of the track, and then the virtual safety car didn't come out until McLaren had swapped positions. I spoke about that at the time, being like, that's very strange and makes very little sense. But apart from that, I can't think of any race director decision that I think has gone massively wrong for him to be fired. And again, with 3 races to go, why not just see out the end of the season, then bring in someone new from the start? But like most things with the FIA, they've been very quiet on this as to what's led to it. So I imagine we'll never know. So it's great speculation, but clarity would be nice. But we're never going to get that. Moving forward now, looking at the Monaco Grand Prix, they've signed a brand new contract which will see Monaco stay on the F1 calendar until 2031. I mean, realistically, I don't think there was ever any chances of Monaco leaving the calendar. I know they left for COVID, but I mean, that's massively different circumstances. But yeah, I don't see Monaco ever being dropped. I know there's always a discussion of should it be, and for me, should it be? No, I don't think so. I think the cars are the issue, not the track. We need the cars to be smaller and lighter, rather than trying to make Monaco bigger, which is impossible. But yeah, I think it'll be staying forever. The only real upsetting thing about this is with this new contract, it's moved from its date in May to June, which means that now Monaco and the Indy 500 will no longer be on the same day, which is always a very nice day of motorsport. You start with the Monaco Grand Prix, and then you watch some good racing, the Indy 500, later on in the afternoon. But that is now over, which is a big shame. And something else that is over is Damon Hill's time at Sky Sports F1. Announced yesterday that Damon Hill will be leaving the Sky Sports team at the end of the season. I'm pretty sure he said in Brazil that was his last race of the year as well, so I think we are done with Damon Hill now on Sky Sports. Now, of course, he's come under some scrutiny lately for some of his comments on Max Verstappen, and you know what? It's like, I didn't necessarily agree with what he said all the time, but I thought Damon Hill was tremendously good on Sky Sports F1. There's a lot of people I don't think are good on Sky Sports F1, and Damon Hill is not one of them. I really enjoyed Damon. I think he was properly underrated. Now, I don't agree with some of the stuff he says about Verstappen because I'm a Verstappen fan, but, I don't agree with everything that any sports commentator says. That's just the way it works. I thought Damon was actually very good, and when they would put him in the commentary booth, occasionally for FP2 or whatever, I thought he was so underrated as a commentator. I actually, I'm not a huge Martin Brundle guy on commentary, but I was a big Damon Hill guy on commentary because, the whole point of the retired Formula 1 driver being a commentator is, they relay stuff from their career to what's happening right now in front of us, and then they take that and they give it to us as the fans. So they go, well, look, that's happening to this guy. This happened to me, which is very similar, and this is how you can understand it. That's their role, basically, from there. And Damon Hill was incredible at that. And on top of that, a fantastic storyteller. You could sit and listen to Damon Hill all the time. And he's been in the F1 world since he was born. Of course, his dad was Graham Hill, the two-time Formula One world champion. He's been around this forever. He's probably one of the most knowledgeable guys. And the thing that I loved the most was he was still very, very excited by it. When they would send him out trackside in the free practice sessions, whenever it was Damon Hill trackside, sometimes he'd be so excited about the cars going past that he couldn't talk. He was properly passionate about the stuff that was going on. So I think it's a big loss for Sky Sports to lose Damon Hill, especially, if you take away what he actually says, it's also his credentials. Because you look at some guys that Sky Sports have got, like if you look at Karun Chandhok. Now I like Karun, I think he's really good, and I think his analysis is very good. But when that little bar pops up with his name and what he's done, I often feel he's instantly undermined. Because Karun Chandhok had, I think, 11 races in Formula One, which is the same as Nick de Vries. So when you have someone like Damon on there, who is a world champion, who drove wheel-to-wheel with Michael Schumacher, that's instantly, you get the respect of the fans from there. And, when you have a lineup of, like, Jenson Button, Nico Rosberg, Damon Hill, like, people instantly listen to them because of what they've done, and Sky Sports have kind of lost that a little bit. Now, added on top of that, I thought he was very good. So, a big loss, I feel, for Sky Sports. I wonder if they will replace him and who they will replace him with, because Sky Sports have got a bit of an interesting cast at the moment, including one Danica Patrick, who I think is everyone's favourite sports commentator and has never done anything wrong in her life. That was sarcasm, if you weren't aware. Best of luck to Sky Sports. And finally, the last thing to talk about is Carlos Sainz, who will drive for Williams at the end of season test at the end of the year this year. I've seen that Ferrari tried to do this with Lewis Hamilton, but Mercedes have tied him down to some sponsorship things, so he's not allowed to do it. But we will see Carlos Sainz in a Williams for the first time at the end of season test. I'm pretty sure Aston did this with Fernando Alonso when he moved from Alpine across to Aston, and he had to wear a race suit with no sponsors on because the sponsorship stuff was still a bit up in the air. But yeah, the move for Sainz will be a little bit earlier than we first expected, which will be pretty interesting to see. So there you go. I think that's all we got to talk about this week. As I said, Top 10 Title Deciders is out yesterday. Go watch that. Book review out tomorrow. And then next week is Viva Viva Las Vegas. Coming from here at 6 a.m. British time. So a very tired qualifying and race review, as well as the preview and driver ratings, will all be up next weekend. And of course, that's the start of the triple header, which leads us right into the end of the season. So much stuff to come on Stop and Go F1. So make sure you subscribe for all of that. I will see you next time. Until then, have a good one. I've lost my mouse. There it is. Have a good one. Goodbye.